What's going on, guys? It's Clifton Denny with On Your Own Outdoors again. I'm up here in Missouri with Matt Ward from Mission Game Calls, and we're going to go ahead. We was going to wait to do these later whenever we do all the calls together, but he's got some surprises we're going to bring out then anyways. So we're going to go ahead and kind of ruin a little bit of that right now, because here in Missouri, what you are like 3 weeks out from rut starting, right?
Yes.
So we're going to go ahead and talk about some of his grunt calls now. He custom makes grunt calls. A, they're beautiful, but B, they sound really good. We're going to let him talk about this one first, and then we're going to get into some of these calls. We're going to bring Donnie in to blow one, show you some of the different color schemes that he's got. I think you've got like 100 different color schemes, but we've got just a few of them out here. But you can go ahead and tell the story on that one.
I was going to say...
this is the one-off, right? This is the first one, huh?
This is the first call I made from a tree that I actually cut the tree down. I milled it myself, dried it for almost a year. A little homemade drying kiln that I made out of a deep freeze and a heat bulb. Anyway, it's my personal call. I've been carrying it for 4 years now. I couldn't even tell you how many deer it's been grunted in with it. But I've got so many hours of footage.
You want to blow that thing down?
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely. So this one's 4 years old. So you're saying?
This one is 4 years old, and it's actually made out of Osage orange, but I guess over time it's just darkening up, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah. And these calls are fully adjustable.
So he's going to show you here. If you don't mind,
Yeah. Go ahead.
So all of his calls are adjustable. So they have the adjustments on the back of them, where you can go all the way from, what's the very top, the light one?
Fawn.
Like a fawn, all the way down to a mature buck. One thing that I like about these calls that I'm actually fixing to show y'all in just a second with this other call is that everybody knows I'm an aggressive caller. So it's hard for me to find a call that doesn't crack, which is kind of one of the reasons that we even came over here today, was because I do like a buck roar, is what they call it. And I don't know if any of you guys ever heard it, but you know, it's literally like a that a buck does in the woods, that a mature buck does in the woods. And when I'm calling, I don't usually do a lot of that tendon grunting. Not saying there's anything wrong with it. I know a bunch of guys that are successful with it, but I find success in that really deep, throaty call. And your call is one of the first ones that I have found that I can do that with. And he's actually going to try to work on some of the calls to get it more throaty to what I like. But this one call is pretty close, and I'll mess with it here. So he's got what, three different versions of grunt calls basically. Before we get to that.
Yeah, I do offer the one piece of wood as well, but I really
Is this what it looks like?
No, it's up here behind the camera.
Okay, well if you don't, I'm gonna grab it.
Yeah, go ahead. They're adjustable as well.
So when you call it a one piece, what do you mean? Is this wood too?
No, it's just where the wood comes apart on that. On this one, the whole reed system just comes right out of the...
Okay, we'll hold that out. All right, so he's got 3 different styles of grunt calls. So this is one, and I'd say this is probably the more popular as of right now.
Yeah.
Right. So this is one. What kind of wood did you say this was?
That is a laminate.
All right, so this is a laminate, but the way this call comes apart is here, right? So you've got the 2 pieces of wood that come apart, and you can adjust it there. And then he's got this one,
which is just one piece of wood, but the reed system is the same. It's fully adjustable.
So give me just a sec. Oh, before we get to that, the third one. So this is the new hotness, right?
Yes.
So this is the new hotness. This call is extremely cool to me. We're not going to put any of the pricings in this video. We're going to save it for the long video that we're going to do, where we're going to have all of his calls out, and we'll provide you guys with a price sheet, and it's free shipping. So you know, that's always a big deal with us. You know, and it's American made, so that's another big deal. But this is his new call. This is the bread and butter. You get the best of both worlds. So it's the wood call. It's got a wood end on it, so it comes apart like the other one, but instead of having the tube, it's got the wood. And then so when you buy this call, it comes with both pieces, so they're interchangeable. So that is a big deal to me, I think. So I'll just kind of So you hear that one. And then with it being the interchangeable call, if you wanted to change up the way you were calling, it gives it that little bit less of a throaty sound. So to me, like being able to carry both of them for one call into the woods, you know, say that, you know, you're bumping a bedding area and you know that there's a mature buck in there. Well, you know, I would go to that call because it's a little bit more throaty. But if I was out in open timber, I would go to this one because it's not quite as throaty. So, yeah, that's a super cool thing. It's the first one I've ever seen that's like that. That's interchangeable. And he makes all of his calls to order, correct?
Yes.
So this isn't. I don't want anybody to think this is like a mass-produced kind of thing. So when you message this man and you're like, "Hey, I want a grunt call," he's gonna send you a picture of all the different colors and different types of woods and options, and then let you pick what you want. And it is a one-off call. Your call is your call. This isn't a mass-produced. You can't go to the store and buy 50 of them. You know.
They're handmade one at a time.
And when we do the other video, we're actually going to try to take enough time to maybe spin a call of some sort, whether that be a duck call or a grunt call or whatever. The other thing that he offers with his calls are free engraving. So if you have a, you know, for a gift or something like that, like I said, I just ordered a duck call for one of my family members as a surprise, and I'm getting an engraving on it. So with the price of the call, it comes with a free engraving. And one thing that he told me, you know, the shorter, the better. The longer you get, the more it kind of gets out of there. And, you know, it's smaller, it's harder to read. But the shorter, the better. So I really like this call, so I'm going to play with it. But another kind of big deal to me about this, Donnie, how long did you say this one hung in your window?
Probably close to a year.
Yeah, so as you can tell, it's sun fade. But it didn't affect the call. We'll kind of go down. Which one is the one you like to run on? Just the last hole?
The one is the mature buck. And I do pre-tune every one before they ever leave the shop to make sure that they sound good, you know. Now, like you said, for the roar, you might want to, you know, slide it. You can adjust, and they do have the little pre-set notches. But you don't have to do that. You can go between two, or you can put that band anywhere you want on that tone board.
And I'll show you guys kind of what he's talking about. So this very top one here, that's the mature one, right? That's what they call the mature buck. What you were just listening to me blow, and I do this with all my grunt calls, I actually take it down a notch because I like to call very aggressive. So you heard what that sounded like. We'll go to just the mature buck here. Maybe. Oh yeah, I forgot you got a twist. Yeah, man, I think they sound awesome. And of course, you know, his has got the flex tube on them, so.
Sounded good.
You get that different kind of tone, you know. So if you're down there, and one thing that I like to do whenever I'm calling is I never do anything before I do a snort wheeze. I don't know about everybody else, but I like to do a snort wheeze before I call, before I grunt call, before I do a rattling sequence or whatever. And I don't even know that it even makes any sense. But one thing that I always do with mine is I'll kind of do like a, you know, and then to kind of give that, it's two different bucks, right. You know, and having that tube keeps you from doing all this kind of moving. You can directionalize it. So if you think there's a deer on top of this ridge, instead of having to turn around and, you know, you're moving all in your stand, you can just directionalize that tube, and I think that makes a huge difference as well.
I agree.
You know,
that's the only downfall to this. I've had so many customers have asked me to try to master the one all wood. Mm-hmm. They think that the flex tube makes it not as pretty, or, you know, but honestly, whenever I'm hunting, I don't really care about the pretty color or I want the sound. You know, that's what I'm after.
The functionality of it.
I want to mimic that buck.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're hunting in a spot that you know is only, you got 4 or 5 2.5-year-olds, and that's what you want to harvest, hey, set it on a young buck, you know, and give him some competition. If you're in a spot where you know there's an older buck, more mature buck, and put it down there on that mature buck, or like you, that buck roar. You know, everybody's hunting areas are different, and everybody's hunting situations are different. A lot of people can't eat the horns.
That's right.
You know, so they don't care. They'll put it on a fawn, try to, get a doe to come in, and you can't. I mean, they're just fully adjustable. Any way you want to go with them.
The doe bleat sounds really good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one cool thing that he was talking about, with the new call and being able to basically have 2 calls in ones. Again, we're not going to tell the price per, but it's considerably less to get this one call than it is to buy this call and to buy that call. And both of them are adjustable, and to me, I don't really do a lot of that soft calling, but if you were somebody that did, or you were somebody that liked to mix up your bleat call with your grunt call, instead of having to sit in there and try to adjust it down or whatever, you can just swap the ends out. So that's another cool thing about them.
And another thing for a lot of archery hunters, we've been out in the woods and had a coyote come by and spook our deer off. You can actually roll this up on a fawn bleat and start getting real aggressive with it, and I have called them coyotes right back underneath the stand.
Okay.
Done it more than once. That fawn bleat, coyotes
Gets them up.
Before I actually start going out and hunting, I will play with different links on the extension tube, different.
Absolutely. Yeah, you guys don't know this, but I caught him completely off guard. We come over here, I ordered a couple calls, and I was like, hey, can I get my camera out? It wasn't this wasn't one of those planned ordeals, and this sounds bad, but it's because Donnie had told me that, they were custom calls and whatever, and we see that all the time. Hey, this guy over here makes custom calls, and you go over there and, okay, it's custom. The only thing it doesn't have is a plastic package around it. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that bad. Some of those calls sound fine, but a lot of them wear out faster. They're made cheaper, whatever. And so, anyways, he had no idea, and one of the reasons for that is just, y'all know me, I'm always real with you. Like, I'm not going to be like, hey man, can I come over there and do a video with you? And then I get here and it's not something that I'm going to use. And I'm never going to do a video over something that I don't have faith in, that I'm not going to use. So I have a call that is an off-the-shelf call that I have modified to make that buck roar kind of noise. And I've been searching for somebody that could try to mimic that sound. And this call is as close as I've ever heard to it. I could use this and do the same thing. Is it absolutely perfect to what I think I want to hear? No, but he hasn't even played with it yet either. So it's brand new. So, but anyways, if you want to make we'll play with it for
a minute. I'll try.
A
I haven't, like I said, off guard here, and I haven't blew a fawn in a long time. It's really not getting this. There we go.
There you go. Yeah, had to come down further with it.
But that's something I like to do before, even though I made this call, I've used it for years. Before I like to go out and actually start hunting, I always see where that band needs to set, and for a mature buck or a fawn.
And I'm going to give y'all a cheater thing that I do. I don't have it on this other call because this call I literally just brought to show him what I was talking about. But something that I like to do with these is say that I have a bleat spot that I really like, and then where I actually run all of my calls is all the way to the base, because you're going to get the most throaty noise out with the more room up here. But what I like to do is take a Sharpie marker. I'll take a Sharpie, one of the fine tip Sharpies, and I'll mark on that call where I like to run it at, so that if I'm in the stand, I decide that it's the middle of the day, I'm tired of waiting on a buck, it's early season, and I want to swap to that fawn call, I've already got it marked. I can run it down there and I know exactly where I'm going to go with it. So that's a cool thing too. So we're going to, if you don't mind, we'll just kind of hold some of them up there, kind of show y'all the different colors, because I think this thing's cool. So this is another one of his laminate calls. And I don't know what the colors' names are, or if there's names.
That's just pink and blue. This is a green mountain camo.
And this one is just purple.
Well, it was before it got left in the
Yeah, that's the reason I'm
car.
showing you this side. This side's more purple than this side is that's been hanging in the window.
I guess I'm probably in trouble over that one.
That's cherry.
Yeah, get your charcoal.
Cherry.
So
Zoe-
this one,
Zoe's gonna get her charcoal one out.
okay. So this one is a cherry color. Know if y'all can see that. And that's so he engraves his own, obviously, his business name in them. But say that you wanted something on this call. With this call, I assume they could do one that was probably a little bit, so you have a lot more room. But, for gifts or, to keep your buddy from stealing your call after you get it.
You ain't seen that one?
Yeah. That's Squirrel.
So this is a squirrel call. But that's a solid pink one.
You see, he's got Zoe's name.
Yeah.
engraved.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So she's got. So like this one, he engraved a name, and I don't know what the numbers are for. Oh, that was the number
was
call.
The serial number.
Yep. And then this one's called Charcoal. That's a beautiful call too. And the same thing. The nickname, right?
Bowie.
Yeah. So he's got the nickname on that one.
And Osage, and this is my favorite hardwood actually. It's really hard. It shines up really smooth. You're right.
How do you blow it?
You done it. Just there's a little aluminum reed that is in here, and if you push too far, you can damage the reed.
Okay.
So I highly recommend not
That's a squirrel call, by the way.
Yeah.
We didn't know we was gonna get one of those out, but.
And if it's around your neck, and you got your shotgun or 22, lots of times I'll just tap it against me.
Oh yeah.
And
Joey's been beating the hell out of that one.
quick little story. Well, the wife and I was both out rifle hunting, and I shot a buck, and at the angle, I didn't think the wife could see it. And little did I know, she was mad at me because she was literally fixing to squeeze the trigger whenever I shot. And it broke her heart. And it broke mine too after, finding out what I'd done. We never found the deer. I tracked it 2 miles and never found the deer. So I owed her a buck. And I was setting out as a Friday evening and right at last light. And I thought, well, one last grunt, and I hit the grunt. And a big buck, mature buck, showed up right in front of me, about 80 yards. And boy, I grabbed, getting ready to pull down on it, and I thought, I owe the wife a deer, I better not. Right beside me, come busting through the creek bed, was another mature buck, and I watched him spar like 45 minutes. I mean, literally right in front of me. It was long after shooting hours by the time the fight was over. And I come home and I told the wife, I said, you got to set in my blind tomorrow, a double white patch, big mature 10-point, and he whooped another big mature 10-point. So there's 2 of them on these does. And so long story short, I had to work Saturday, but the wife, she set in my spot. I come in from work, and we always carry walkie-talkies, and I hollered at her. I said, you seeing anything? She said, yeah, I've got a big buck chasing a doe about a quarter of the way up the ridge. And she says, I grunted a time or 2, and he's not coming off of that doe. I said, well, I'm going to bring the walkie with me, so if they start getting closer to the pasture, you can holler at me. I said, I'm going to sneak up the creek and try to get in there with you. I wanted to hit my grunt. So I make it in the blind with her, and I'd get settled down, and I wasn't in the blind 2 minutes. I hit the grunt, done a sequence of grunts, and she tells me, don't move. There he is, don't move. So I wasn't in the blind 2 minutes, and this big mature double white throat patch, he comes out about 200 yards, all bristled up, looking for a fight. She drops it. And we go over and we take some pictures, and she's getting loud, biggest buck she's ever, getting very excited, and it's a buck that we've been watching for about 3 years. He had one eye, and we trail cams, hundreds of pics of this, 3 years, I think. So when she realized it was one eye, boy, she was really getting loud and excited. And so anyway, I told her, I said, we got about an hour left of daylight. Let's go sit back down. She said, I just shot twice, and getting loud. We're not going to see nothing. I said, if there's a deer that can hear this grunt, I really believe I can grunt another one in. So we get back. As soon as we sat down, I hit the grunt and we hear one answer, grunt back to us. And she actually made the comment, that couldn't have been no deer, you know, I just shot and you're getting loud. I said, well, let's see. And I knew it was. So I'd done another sequence. Boy, he coming off of that ridge, come out there and all bristled up. Now this was probably a 2.5-year-old 8-point, and she was telling me, take him, take him. I couldn't let her show me up, you know, on the same day. She just killed a big mature 10. I'm not going to take you know, a way younger 8.
Yeah, so I think that's really all we got, huh?
Today, yeah.
Yeah, so until...
Caught off guard, I have 0 inventory.
That's right. So whenever we come back the next time, we're going to have the grunt calls. We'll actually play with them a little bit, get them tuned. But we'll have the grunt calls, the different styles of the grunt calls. We'll have some duck calls, a single read and a double read.
Yep.
We'll have the whole turkey line, and there's a bunch of those.
Oh, yeah.
A whole bunch of the turkey ones. You know, Missouri guys, they get all the luck. They get all the turkeys. Squirrel calls. I don't know. He's got a crow call that sounded awesome.
Predator.
I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Predator call.
Yeah,
Predator calls. Yeah, so just about for all of your call needs, it seems like.
Yeah.
He's got something for every bit of it. So make sure you go check out his Facebook page at Mission Game Calls. And again, his name is Matt Ward. But yeah, I'm fixing to grab my grunt call and I'm going to go get in a stand somewhere. So until later this week, guys, we appreciate you watching. Step back just a little bit. Again, Mission Game Calls. I don't know if you can see. You mind if I give your number out?
Right.
So his name is Matt Ward, and you can direct call him at 573-727-3313. And again, guys, I don't want y'all to think this is one of those promotional videos. It is 110% not. I've got witnesses. This guy's never gave me anything but a hard time. You know? No, I'm serious. So I come down here on a mission. I wanted to see if his call would do what I like to do, because the way that I like to call, and it's hard to find it. And it is so close, it's not even funny. So I really like to think he's going to end up getting that down. But yeah, guys, we will be back later. Hopefully the end of the month, maybe into November, before we can get around to getting back up. But we'll be back with you guys, and we'll run some more calls.